Guys, this is NCAA Uncovered, and in this video, I'm going to be covering my top 25 teams in college football heading into week 5, and yes, just where they stand going into next week. All right, so start off, I'm going to have some honorable mentions here, um, and those will be Boise State, Kansas State, Texas A&M, Iowa, Nebraska, and Washington, and then finally UNLV, which originally I had UNLV obviously ranked, but now after that whole QB scandal, you might have seen with their QB, he left due to some NIL things. Matthew Sluka, he was their starting QB. He left over some NIL disputes. I'm not exactly sure what that was all about, but I did have them ranked because they've been playing great. What are they? They're 3-0. In the Mountain West, not the best conference, so I still think they're gonna make a bowl game, but I just can't see them playing as well without Matthew Sluka for already an underdog team. Then Nebraska, yeah, Nebraska lost a tough game on the road, I believe, at Illinois, 31-24 in overtime. So that's understandable. Washington, they're actually off to a pretty good start, if I recall. Uh, let's check real quick. They are 3-1. Yeah, they only lost versus Washington State, um, who I think is actually ranked on this list. And then they beat Northwestern by 19, Eastern Michigan by 21, Weber State by 32. So, I mean, they're still solid. They lost, obviously, a ton of their seniors, as they were they made it to the national championship game last season. So, I think they'll still be decent. I think they'll be up to the challenge in the Big Ten. Iowa's just is like, I mean, they're pretty good. They're always decent at football. They're never great. I feel like, some of them still get great, but like that's kind of what they are this season. I mean, so far they're 3-1, only lost to Iowa State by 1. They beat Minnesota on the road by 17. This week they're at Ohio State though, so they're probably dropping this because 3-2 is not really worthy of this, and because they're probably honestly going to lose by a pretty heavy margin. The line right now has, and I'm not like telling you guys to bet in this line. I'm just giving recommendations. But I don't see the line right now. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find it real quick. What this line is? Iowa, Ohio State line. So it's negative 20, like minus 24. So, um, honestly, I just don't know if I can see Iowa hanging in this game. I think it's a pretty good line according to ESPN. Ohio State has an 88.9% chance, but I'm probably gonna take Iowa actually to hang in minus 24. Ohio State hasn't been playing great, although I think they still are really really good. Um, and then we got Texas A&M. They're like actually really good, 87 or 89 overall, I think, in college football. So they're pretty good in that, but they just have not played. This had not played well so far this season. Right now, they're ranked 24th still, but they lost to Notre Dame on week 1 by 10, and then people give them a lot of credit for this win over Florida by 13. Florida's not good this season. They're like 1-3, I think. Yeah, they're 1-3. Or sorry, 2-2. They're 2-2 this season. And they lost to Texas A&M, and they lost by Miami to like 24. Like, they're not like, that good of a team. I don't think you should give Texas A&M much credit for that win. So that's really why. And then yeah, they only beat Bowling Green by 6, which Bowling Green's not like. They're not horrible, but like they're not good. Actually, they're 1-2 on the season. Yeah, they lost by. They did lose by Penn State to only 7, but still, like they're still just not a good team. And then Kansas State. Obviously, I might get some hate for this one. Uh, I mean, I think they might bounce back decently. They lost 38-9 though to BYU. You can't just lose by that much. They're ranked 23rd right now. I think they still got potential, right? They beat Arizona by 24. Now they got a challenge once again. They're at home at least against Oklahoma State. They're actually 5.5-point favorites in this game. I'm taking Oklahoma State in this one. I believe in Oklahoma State, but we'll just see how that plays out. And then Boise State. obviously they have been pretty stellar so far this season. Um, I think in the Mountain West they have a chance to win that conference. They only lost to Oregon by 3 on the road, which is impressive. But then again, I mean, this beat Georgia Southern by what is that, 11, and then Portland State by a lot. But I think there's still a lot to be proven, so I'm not going to put this team in the top 25 yet, but we'll still see how it plays all out. Um, 25, Washington State Cougars, like I just was mentioning, which actually Boise State plays Washington next week. Boise State's -7-point favorite at home, which I'm taking Washington State in this game as the upset, even though they're on the road. I mean, Washington State has played well so far this season, right? They beat Washington by 5, which I believe Washington is decent. They beat Texas Tech by 21. Only beat San Jose State by 2. But then they dropped 70 against Portland State. Like that's a lot. Even if Portland State's not good. Um, but if I recall, who was it last talk? Boise State actually played Portland State already this season. Let me fact check that real quick. Yeah, and they won by 30 56-14. So um I think Washington State though has a lot of potential. I think in the Pac-12, since there's no really Pac-12, I mean they probably win it. But so yeah, and now let's move on to the next one. That will be Boston College Eagles. Sorry for that's so blurry. I'm not sure why it all of a sudden is so blurry, but Boston College, I think they played great against Missouri, who I think I'm not gonna spoil, but I have them I think in my top 10 um on this list. And I mean they played great. They did lose at home. I mean on the road. Wait, yeah, sorry, on the road. They lost on the road by 6, but I think they still played well in that game. I mean, they moved the ball, they stayed in it. I think Missouri could have pulled away. They beat Michigan State this week by 4 at home, and then they also beat Florida State by 15 um on the road. So that's a good win. So generally, I think this team's good. I think they don't have a really tough schedule. They only play one ranked team. That's versus Louisville. And honestly, I think if they can win that, like they could probably. I don't know if they make the top 12, but I think they could probably make top 20 because they got a pretty light schedule. So if they can, I mean, if they can beat Louisville, I think they can have a pretty good season. Maybe they'll take 2 or 3 losses. Um, Next up here is the Oklahoma Sooners. Um, they I forgot they had some trouble with QBs. That's really the main reason why I'm not putting them higher. Because they just haven't really been able to figure it out at QB this season. I believe they just benched their starter. I'll check in that real quick, but just a sec. So yeah, they benched their starter, whatever. Um, they got a new guy. I mean, at least you can see in this photo, they don't got a big QB really. That's kind of disconcerting in my mind that they don't have big guys to be QB. Here, let's see. Yeah, they got Hawkins starting over Arnold because Arnold just had bad start, even though he's 5-star recruit. But I think this need Dylan Gabriel. Last season he's pretty good with him. And I mean that's pretty much all there is to be said about Oklahoma. I think they do have some potential. But I just don't think they've really proven anything yet. And that's why they're ranked 23rd. I mean, so far this season, they're 3-1. They lost by Tennessee by 10. That was a game, Tennessee led the whole game. I think they're up 21-3, something. There's up a decent, pretty solid amount heading into the fourth quarter. Oklahoma kind of made it close, but still, I think that's all that really has to be said. So 22 IU. I don't. I just. I don't know if I agree. I mean, I do agree with these. Obviously, I made them, but they just been looked flawless so far. I mean, they they beat FIU 31-7, Western only 77-3. They scored 77, a franchise high against them. Then they played UCLA on the road, won by 29, which you say is not looking good this season, but they beat them by more than USC did, and then they beat Charlotte. And this came from a Purdue fan too, so I'm not trying to glaze at you or anything, but um I mean, they've looked great. Their defenses look pretty solid, and their offenses has been explosive. They just haven't played anybody so far. That's really the thing. So I'm really just looking forward to them actually playing a team, which they play Maryland this week at home. So I think they'll take that. But I'm really like looking forward to later in the season. They play they play Michigan at home, and then they play Ohio State on the road. So I mean, some people are saying they can take that Michigan game. I don't think so. I think Michigan will run the ball through them, but I don't know. We'll see. 21 BYU after that big upset blowout of Kansas State this past week. BYU is currently ranked 22nd, as you can see down here. I put all the rankings if you hadn't noticed. So yeah, they blew out Kansas State. They beat Wyoming on the road, beat SMU on the road, and then they beat Southern Illinois at home. So they're 4-0 on the season. They've looked great so far. And I really think this team can keep rolling. I mean, they can win some more games. Uh, I mean, if you look at their rushing right now, actually, they have a lot of depth. They have 4 guys that have like pretty much 5 that have rushed over 80 yards this season, so, and their max is only 103, which their QB is actually their Jake Retzlaff is their top runner. But I think this team, I mean, this week they got at Baylor. That's going to be a tough game, but Baylor's been playing horrible this season, so I think they'll be able to take that because, Baylor's just not good. They got versus Arizona, then versus Oklahoma State. So other ones at UCF, at Utah versus Kansas. I mean, so they got a decent schedule in the Big 12, but I think they'll still be able to be decent. 20 here is Oklahoma State. I talked about them earlier in this video for a second. Who are they playing? Yeah, talking about them against Kansas State. Yeah, they're playing Kansas State next week. Last week they lost to Utah, but I mean, it's just tough. Like, I mean, they're a really good team. Cameron Rising, the QB, whatever. He didn't play in that game, I don't believe, but he's good. So, uh, I think they'll bounce back. I think they've got to keep moving forward. They played good in that game. I still feel like, and now they got Kansas State, so that's gonna be a tough game. But I think they'll be able to bounce back and get some revenge against Kansas State, who's also seeking revenge. So that'd be a good game to watch. 19 Clemson Tigers. I don't really believe in this Clemson team a ton, honestly. It's tough to see them get blown out to Georgia, and then see Georgia barely beat Kentucky like 13-12 order last week. I mean, obviously Georgia's good, and they can do that to even good teams. But I mean, they lost 34-3. That was week 1. Since then, they've won 66-20 versus Appalachian State, and then versus NC State, they won by 24, which NC State was supposed to be good, but they haven't really played well. This team, only ranked team, is also versus Louisville, so they can definitely be decent. The ACC's not really stacked this season, so I think I think they have a lot of potential. They rank 17th, obviously. I think Cade Klubnik, I mean, 8 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's pretty solid, with a 73% completion rate. But I think they're just gonna need, I think there's gonna need some more to like really push it over the top. Their defense needs to be a little better. I mean, Phil Mafah, 284 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, so he's been good so far this season, right? But it's really just that against the good teams like Georgia that they got to show up. But luckily for them, they don't really have any teams like that left in their schedule. So um, I honestly could see them going like how many games they got this season. Yeah, 12 games. I mean, I probably could see them losing like 3, so I could see them going like 9-3. And I mean, they could definitely be a top 12 playoff contender, but we'll just have to wait and see. Number 18, LSU. LSU they haven't done anything really. Like, I'm sorry. As much as I want to like them, I mean, they beat, uh, I mean, they just haven't played well this season. 3-1. Uh, but I mean, you gotta stop and look at this. Like, they beat, I mean, their only loss this season was against the only good team they played, USC, right? They lost 27-20. I mean, they ranked 14th somehow, right? They lost 27-20 to USC at home. USC's decent. They're not the best, right? I mean, obviously they're ranked. I think they'll be coming up pretty soon. Then they beat Nichols by 23. Nichols State is not a good football school. I mean, or sorry, not Nichols State. Nichols. They're 1-3 in the Southland. Their only win is 66-0 against Mississippi Valley State, which is like the worst team in all of college football, D1. Their other losses are against nobody teams, Louisiana Tech. I mean, LSU obviously is them, but and then Sacramento State by 24. So anyways, I mean, they're just not. They just haven't looked good so far this season, and for that reason, I don't think they're gonna be the best. And also, they're in a tough SEC this season, which obviously I think. I mean, what they got: Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Yeah, so like I mean, this is the best conference in college football. They're gonna have a tough season ahead of them. I mean, yeah, they got versus Ole Miss at Texas A&M, versus Alabama, versus Oklahoma. Don't even play Georgia or whatever, but this is gonna be tough. They'll be only beat UCLA by 17, which I mean that's not bad, but I mean like it's just not. But I mean UCLA is not having a good season at all, and they beat at South Carolina by 3. Like that's a really close game. Came down kind of to the wire, which South Carolina's not bad, right? That's a decent win for um any other team. I mean they beat Kentucky on the road by 25. But I think still you gotta. I mean, if you're a dominant team, you gotta beat them by more. That's another reason that Georgia loss was so bad because, I mean, yeah, South Carolina beat Kentucky on the road by 25, and then Georgia only beat them by like 1. Anyways, next up we're going the Fighting Illini. They got a big win over Nebraska in overtime. That was really a massive win. I think that was on Friday. Um, so that was really big. In This team hasn't had the most success in the last few years, so it definitely feels nice for them to finally get something going. Um, so they play at Nebraska. I mean, they have to be at Nebraska, and they also beat Kansas, who's not having the best start. So next week they play at Penn State, which let's check that line right now. That is at negative 17.5 for Penn State. I'm taking the under in that definitely. I think Illinois will fight. I don't think Penn State's as good as people think. So, anyways, moving on now. Trying to speed things up a little bit, at least. We got Iowa State Cyclones here out of the Big 12. They're 3-0 so far. Haven't really played much. I mean, they played at Iowa and only won by 1. That's one of the reasons I'm so impressed with Iowa. I don't like taking that as like a diss on Iowa State or anything. It's obviously a conference game, so although they only won by 1 on the road, it's still a good win. And I mean, North Dakota by 18 and Arkansas State by 45. So really haven't done a lot so far, but I think the still team is definitely very talented. Got a lot of potential. Um, Here, let's see. The next up now is Louisville Cardinals. Tyler Shaw's 8 touchdowns and no picks. I mean, come on, that is incredible. Uh, I think Louisville is definitely going to be a force to reckon with this season in the ACC. I think they might win the ACC, probably. But they got at Notre Dame this week, who's I think Notre Dame's 14. Spoiler alert. So I think that's gonna be a good battle. They're at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame might take that honestly. They're 6.5 point favorites. I'll probably take the under on that still, just because I think it's almost like a 50-50, even though it's 32.5, 67.5. Once again, I'm not trying to bet. Obviously, I can't, but like I'm just saying like what I think of these lines. Uh, I think Notre Dame's gonna bouncing back. They beat Purdue by a lot. But yeah, Tyler Showers look great. I think he's a Heisman contender as of right now. They haven't played anybody. I mean, Jacksonville State, Austin Peay, and Georgia Tech. Who's Georgia Tech's decent, but they won all those games pretty solidly. Now going back up to Notre Dame. Like I was talking about, Notre Dame at 14. They're at 16th in this poll, so I just really flipped them. It was 15-16. Well, now it's 15-14 or whatever. But I think Notre Dame's better than most people think. I think that loss to Northern Illinois was kind of just a bluff. I think they just need to start throwing the ball more. Riley Leonard, I mean, I think he's had his first touchdown pass in like a year against whoever they played last week. That would have been not Purdue. They played Purdue 2 weeks ago. They played Miami, Ohio, and then won 28-3. So I think that they just gotta like throw the ball more. I mean, Jeremiah Loves looked pretty good, 7.4 yards of carry with 4 touchdowns. But I mean, still like Riley Leonard. I mean, 587 yards throwing, but he has 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and 6 rushing touchdowns. Like they've got to throw the ball more if they're going to be really dominant. Next up is USC Trojans. I think this team's actually pretty good, even though they lost Caleb Williams. I mean, I think they're honestly as good as they were with Kelly Williams. They lost at Michigan, which that kind of, I mean, considering Michigan only had 32 yards of passing, that's a pretty bad loss, but it's still at Michigan by 3. Like, how mean can you be to them? Then versus LSU, they won by 7, which that's a good win. Not going to talk a whole lot about them. So going on to the next one, Penn State. I think this team's overrated, not going to lie. I just feel like Penn State's never lives up to the hype. They play versus Illinois. I think they'll take that game because they're at home, but I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. I think, yeah, saying like they're like a 17.5 point favorites. Um, I'm sure this will be like one possession, maybe 10 point game max in my mind. I think Illinois will hang in. There's a small chance they pull away, but I think there's a decent chance Illinois also could actually win this game. So yeah, I just think they're overrated. I mean, they beat Kent State by 56, but Kent State's, you know, um, not the best. But anyways, yeah. So they beat at West Virginia by 24. West Virginia's not the best, but that's not still a decent win. Versus Bowling Green by 7, which um, remember Bowling Green played decent against another team. I can't remember who it was, um, but yeah, like if you look at Kent State, like I mean, they lost 55-24 to Pitt. They're 23-17 to St. Francis, PA. 71-0 to Tennessee, and then 56-0 to Penn State. So obviously, this team does not prove anything being this team. So I think they still have something stuff to prove. If they play well in Big Ten, then obviously I'm wrong about them, but we just have to wait and see. Michigan Wolverines. Um, I think part of there is I probably gonna make some Penn State fans mad that I actually rated Michigan over Penn State, but I mean Michigan is they lost to Texas by 19. Texas is really good. Rather than that, they played great. They played. They just need to throw the ball more, obviously, but they just have no QBs. Alex Orgy and Davis Warren. Uh, Davis Warren. I mean, he has 6 picks, 2 touchdowns, averaging 6.2 yards to completion. Um, so I don't think. Yeah, they started Alex Orgy or whatever. I mean, he's 47 yards, 10 completions, 18 attempts, 2.6 yards a catch. Like that's horrible. Um, So, I mean, Kalel Mullings has looked good. 8.1 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns, 429 yards. But I mean, they just need to pass it more if they're going to actually want to win something. I just don't think you can win a national championship if you can't pass the ball at all. Even though in the past they've ran it a lot. Number 10 is Utah Utes. I think Utah's gonna look really good. Coming up. Um, in the next few games. Just a sec. They got Arizona coming up, and Arizona State. So no, nobody really good. Arizona's decent this season, but Cameron Rising, I think he's gonna be back next game. He's great. 7 touchdowns, no picks. And only 18 completions too since he's been injured. Um, Isaac Wilson stepped up and he's been decent, but I think once they get Cameron Rising back, considering that they won, even without him, I think Cameron Rising's like a Heisman contender if he can stay healthy. So, anyways, next up is 9 Missouri Tigers. Missouri is another team that I think that lost to Boston College isn't as bad as everybody thought. I think Boston College is better than people think. They're 4-0. I mean, they've only beat Vanderbilt by 3, but I still think this team's good. There's beast. They play at Texas A&M this week. Let's check the line for that real quick. The line for that is, oh, I can't find it. It seems. Wait, actually, here is it? No. Missouri, Texas A&M line. So the line for that game is Texas A&M -2. I'm taking Missouri on that. I can't believe Texas A&M is almost the favorites in that. I know people just underrate Missouri. Like I don't think Texas A&M's good, and I think Missouri's better. So Oregon Ducks. Dylan Gabriel's looked pretty good. Shaky start. They beat Oregon State by a lot. Oregon State's actually decent, I think. Now they play at UCLA. So I think they're gonna have to compete. I mean, once again, only beat Idaho by 10, and then Boise State by 3 to start off the season. But then they beat Oregon State on the road by 35, which I think they're a decent team. So I think Dylan Gabriel's a good addition to this team after losing Bo Nix. I think he's gonna have to really carry this team. I mean, he used my prospect last season on Oklahoma, so I picked some prospects. I mean, and he's been great so far this season. 84% completion, 914 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks. So, Yeah. Next up, Miami Hurricanes. Um, with Cam Ward. Um, checking on them real quick. They got. I mean, so far they beat at Florida by 34. Florida AM by like 49. Ball State by like 62, and South Florida by 35. Um, I mean, they've dominated so far this season. I think they're second in total yards behind Ole Miss. But honestly, at the beginning of the game, they look kind of shaky against South Florida. Obviously, they cleaned it up, won by 35. But I still think this team has a lot to prove. Have literally played nobody good. I mean, I don't think Florida's a good team, and they don't play any ranked teams except for Louisville. Which this is your Louisville's really competition in the ACC is Miami. Anyways, now 6 is Ole Miss. I think they're like number one in like a ton of categories this season. Here, let me see if um yeah. s- um yeah, so they're like first in offense and first in defense so far this season. The thing is they played horrible teams. I mean, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, MTSU, and Furman, which would be Furman 76 nothing. Um I mean, they played bad teams. They still look great, obviously. Uh, yeah, they only allowed 5.5 points per game, which is tied for the best in Division One football with um, Texas. It is, and they've scored like 65 a game or something crazy like that. So, uh, not much to say. I think Jackson Dart. I think he's good, but I think I don't know. He might struggle. I feel like against better teams. I feel like he just isn't the most accurate. I mean, he is 80% completion, but I saw a video of him. He just looks like he can be shaky at times, but I think he'll still step up. And if he can step up, I think they can honestly are a national championship contender. He has 1,500 yards already in the season and 12 touchdowns. But yeah, he has 2 picks, so we'll have to see, especially against like bad teams. Georgia might not like this, but I just can't get over how Georgia played. I mean, we've seen them play shaky in the past in the first few weeks, but I mean, a 1 point win on the road against Kentucky after South Carolina beat Kentucky by like 25 or whatever. This is not good. Even though they beat Clemson by 31, I just feel like the other top 5 teams are just slightly better than them. I could definitely see them up to like 2 or even 1 in like a week. That's how tight these top are. But Carson Beck only 680 yards so far. 7 touchdowns, no picks. That's good. And then Trevor Etienne, the brother of Travis Etienne, is their starting running back. He's doing pretty good, 6.5 yards a carry, but no touchdowns so far. Number 4, Alabama Crimson Tide, who's actually playing Georgia this week. That's going to be a great primetime game or whatever. Georgia ranked second, and they're ranked fourth in the actual rankings. So, as of right now, Georgia's 1 point. They're favored by 1. I think Alabama might take this one after Kentucky. I mean, after Georgia didn't look the best last week. I mean, they might bounce back, but I still think. I mean, Alabama has 65% chance. It says in this line, so I think Alabama is most likely going to win, but I think Georgia is more likely to blow them out. If you know what I mean. Jalen Miller looks good. Until Alabama seems to play great so far. I mean, there's Alabama. I mean, they beat Wisconsin on the road by 32. Wisconsin's pretty solid. I mean, they're not the best this season, but they're still solid. To beat them by 32 on the road is definitely saying something. That's definitely a statement. Jalen Miller, I mean, he only has 590 yards this season, but 8 touchdowns, 11.3 average. They just run the ball a lot. They have 714 rushing yards, 686 passing yards this season. So, number 3, Tennessee Volunteers. They've been like flawless so far. Haven't really played a bunch, but like I'm trying to find their team actually. Oh, yeah, Tennessee Volunteers here. They're 3-0. They played NC State by 41. Beat Oklahoma by 10 on the road, which they were controlling the whole game. Um, would have won by more. That's kind of like in the fourth quarter. Kind of let it get a little closer than it should have been. Beat Chattanooga by 66, and they Kent State by 71. So I mean, this damn dominated like pretty much every single game so far this season, and I think they're just gonna keep doing it. They're gonna keep rolling. Um, Dylan Sampson, the running back, 10 touchdowns, 449 yards, only 6.5 yard average, but he's still been great so far this season. Number 2, Ohio State Buckeyes. I think once again these ranking could change very quickly, but I think Ohio State, like I mean, they've still played good. I mean, beat Marshall by 35, Western Michigan by 56, and they've been good so far this season. They're ranked third actually, but Will Howard, I don't love the guy. I mean, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick, not the best, but he's still been good so far. Quinton Judkins, 9.3 yards to carry, 5 touchdowns, 336 yards. He's been outstanding. But it was now what we've all been waiting for. Number one, Texas Longhorns. Come on. They've been incredible so far. Colorado State, 52-0. At Michigan, 31-12. UTSA, they won by 49, and then UL they won by 48. They've taken care of business. I mean, tied with Ole Miss for the lowest amount of points allowed per game at 5.5. They've actually played someone, Michigan. I mean, rather than that, not really, but Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning. I think that's gonna be a battle for starter. I think they should start Ewers, honestly. You can see um Ewers is on the right here. And then uh Manning's on the left. So I think they gotta start Ewers because he's a senior and Manning's still a freshman, but I think the fact that they got all that depth is just nice at QB. And then Jarek Gibson, Jaden Blue, both with over 200 yards rushing on the season and 3 touchdowns, both respectively. And then their defense has been great. So we'll definitely have to see how they look coming up uh, when they start to play some better teams. Really looking forward to, here on October 19th. They play Georgia. See if they have a line for that. They have Georgia 1.5 favorites on the road. I'm not taking that. I'm taking Texas. I think Georgia might lose a decent amount of games this season just because their schedule. But let's see what happens. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully you watch some college football this weekend, and maybe I'll come out with one of these again updated next week. So thanks and peace.